Oh, here's a buck. Good mass. That's looking good. Nice high tines.
Ron Spomer is homeward bound for the early season on this Winchester World of Whitetail.
Opening day is always ripe with promise.
What's really unique about White River Hunts is that we cater to the guys that like to guide themselves.
Oh, that's about 2 bucks, 3 bucks. 10 minutes of shooting light left. I think I'm taking. Oh, yeah.
Winchester's World of Whitetail.
Good deer trail right here. Yeah, there's a lot of ground to cover now.
Opening day is always ripe with promise. We're on the famous White River in western South Dakota, and these bottomlands are classic whitetail habitat, and there are big bucks living down here. I'm going to do some vision hunting here, get up on the hills where I can see down in this bottom, and that's usually pretty effective because you've got enough hills for cover, little draws you can drop in and out of, and when you see something on the bottoms, you just move into position, stalk close, often get your shot.
Buck chasing him. Coyote's out there somewhere. Yeah, those deer are looking back at him. Yeah, he's right out there where that buck was.
South Dakota hunting is what I've always done because I grew up in South Dakota. It was a great time, it was good hunting, but I don't think it was as good then as it is now. I think there are more deer and there are more quality bucks. Yeah, it's great to come back to South Dakota and hunt. Beautiful country, but it's a challenge too. It's not the easiest state to hunt for a really, really big deer, but it's still open country, my sort of glass and stock country, and I ought to be able to pull something out. I'm hoping for a 150 class, see what happens.
Just south of Kennebec, South Dakota, White River Hunts has 4,000 acres of prime whitetail habitat for Spomer to explore and hunt.
What's really unique about White River Hunts is that we cater to the guys that like to guide themselves. You know, we give you the 4,000 acres. You don't have a guide telling you have to go to stand A and sit there all day. I'll come get you at dark. We just ask people to kind of team up, decide where everybody wants to hunt, and maybe try different locations during a hunt. And if they do that, they're going to see a lot of deer. I'm going to show you where we're going to be hunting and how we kind of have things set up here. Typically, these are self-guided hunts, and I'm kind of semi-guiding you. You guys are going to be off doing your own thing. I'm just going to kind of point you in the right direction.
I love that.
In here, we've been seeing 3 or 4 really big bucks working this alfalfa.
Okay, what's your definition of really big?
We figured the one was probably pushing 165.
That's really big.
There's a couple, 2 or 3 that are definitely in the 150s.
All right.
Thing is, you never know because they're coming and going from the rivers and the hills, and so it's different bucks all the time.
Rich has an interesting operation here. Instead of having a lodge and guiding you, he has a sort of open hunting. You come in, he shows you the map, he makes some suggestions, lets you know what he's been seeing, and then you get to hunt on your own. I like that. I think a lot of people do. I don't necessarily want a guide with me all the time telling me where to go and when to go. And when I get a buck this way, it's just that much more satisfying.
Oh, here's a buck. Good mass. That's looking good. Nice high tines, but that's a young deer yet. He's slim. He's got a slim neck, tight belly. He's only a 3-year-old. Gosh, he's got a nice rack for being that young and small. Genetic quality is excellent, though. Boy, I don't know. If he comes real close, I might get so tempted. I don't know. I should maybe wait for some more options, but boy, he's tempting. Nice buck.
I would like a chance to explain myself. First of all, the guide and the outfitter here had seen a big whitetail using that field. He said every morning or evening, once a day, it crosses that field, and it's a 165. I think he said it was a 6x6, but at any rate, 165, that's what I'm looking for. Because how often do you get a chance at a 165, maybe 170 buck? And it's that same old story of you can't get the big one if you shoot the first, you know how it goes, but it's the truth. You've got to take a risk.
It's always good to take some of the local predators out of the equation. It's one thing some of us don't remember. We're out shooting the prey species, and it's sort of important to take out a few of the predators to balance things. And ranchers always like it if you take some of their coyote problems out. So we'll go skin that guy and let things settle down though, so the deer they go down there.
We're getting some older deer here, but they're just not making it.
Spomer rolls the dice on a booner buck on Winchester World of Whitetail.
Right there, 50 yards away. If you want to shoot a big one, you can't shoot a good one the first day.
Winchester's World of Whitetail is brought to you by Winchester Ammunition, the American legend. Ram Trucks, Guts, Glory, Ram. Dallas Safari Club, promoting conservation, education, and ethical hunting worldwide. Bushnell, the new laws of performance. And by Mossberg, field-proven performance.
We're getting some older deer here, but they're just not making it.
Got some brow tines, but it's only a 4x4. Rattling should be working just perfectly right now, because what we saw last night were bucks coming out of the trees and rushing those does. What they do is they give that low neck stretch rush to see if a doe will urinate, and then they'll sniff it to tell if she's ready. So they're checking does, and they're really aggressive, waiting for that first one and just checking. And they get such, I think, pent-up energy and anxiety, and they just are looking for something to do. So they hear some rattling, and I think they come in just because they're curious. They want to see what's going on.
I try to learn something on all of my hunts. You know, when you've been around and at it as long as I have, you start to think you know it all, but by golly, I don't. So I'm always studying and trying to figure out, why are the animals doing what they're doing? So when you see does start to run around the field and young bucks start to chase them, you know that they're getting pretty close to estrus. So what does that tell you about the big bucks? Well, if the little guys are out chasing does in the open fields and you're not seeing the big older guys, probably already have a doe down in the timber or out up in the prairie somewhere, isolated, that they're tending. So you need to look a little harder for the big bucks. Don't expect them to be out racing around the field. They might hit it once or twice. Chances are, though, if the little guys are out chasing does, big guy's already busy back in the bushes.
Oh, I've got a gusty wind situation here, and it worries me. It's a long shot. If that buck just comes out and runs that corner the way he did last night, that's a good 400 to 500 yard spread in there. And if he decides to just find a doe right on that edge and back into the trees, there's no way I can take a shot. I just might need to move down onto the flats there. There's a few trees and a little gully line. I think I might have to crawl in there, blow these does off the field, and hope they come back in an hour. It's a heck of a deer trail right here. There's fresh tracks up and down it.
You know, I've tried everything for tactics on deer hunting, and I think every deer hunter has to. You don't want to just fall into a rut and always do the same thing over and over again. I'm trying to find the recipe that's going to work here, and I did enjoy sitting up on the hill. Saw a lot more action, but two good ones, two really good bucks. But after that, nothing on the field. So I went into the trees to see if maybe they were holed up there.
Dropped my guard for a second, didn't launch, and there was one right there 50 yards away, but it was just a doe. Still, you start bumping does, and that's what I was afraid of in here. It's so tight and so thick. They bed in this grass, and you just don't have a chance to see them. Oh, there was another one. This is the hardest part of still hunting. It's not going too fast. It's just so easy to want to see what's up ahead by walking there, and then you step on one. You've got to really, really look before you move. Little buck. Nice, but not the one I'm looking for.
such a small body size, and his stomach was tucked up nice. That would be a heck of a rack. But that's the game, and the way it's played. If you want to shoot a big one, you can't shoot a good one the first day.
The first day's a memory now as the clock is ticking on Spomer's hunt.
There's something might be coming out of the trees to our right. Nice, healthy 3-year-old buck, but it's the same little 4x4 here all the time. I could take him nice hole through the cover right here.
Winchester's World of Whitetail is brought to you by Mossberg, field-proven performance. Sportsman's Warehouse, America's premier outfitter. Shop at one of over 30 locations or online at sportsmanswarehouse.com. Mossy Oak, it's not a passion, it's an obsession.
You know the only thing better than getting to hunt whitetails all fall? Getting to hunt them in a brand new Ram Outdoorsman truck. Here's a feature most outdoorsmen will love. Look at under this floor mat. This is no ordinary floor. We've got ourselves a cooler. It's actually an insulated little spot underneath, and there's one on either side of this in the big back seat, and it has got an enormous back seat. Much bigger than the average car these days. You're gonna haul a lot of people, or a lot of gear, or both in this truck.
With White River Hunts, native South Dakotan Ron Spomer is passing up good deer to play the odds on taking a great one.
There's something might be coming out of the trees to our right. It's the same little 4x4 here all the time. And he's looking right at me. I could take him nice hole through the cover right here. No branches in the way. But he's only out to his ear tips. He's only at 125 maybe. Nice healthy 3-year-old buck, but I'm going to go looking for him. It's the last day. Where are the big boys when you need them? And that buck just bedded there. See that buck in bed? It's right out in the sunshine in a clipped alfalfa field. Just, you think those bucks are so wary and sneaky and hiding in the dark shadows, and here he is right out in the sunshine in an open meadow, 200 yards off of the road. But it's a quiet ranch road, doesn't get used much, and if you don't bother them, just drive by. They just assume it's normal life.
You know, I was encouraged by the way the bucks were behaving in those open fields. Cars would drive by the rancher's wife going to town or so, and 150 yards off the road, and that big buck just ignored it, kept feeding. That was that big 4-year-old. Some of the does spook, but generally they're pretty calm here, which tells me they're not getting poached, they're not getting a lot of pressure, and the pressure they get is pretty subtle. So that's nice to have. These deer aren't by any means tame. They still spook at strange times and subtle movements, but overall I'm encouraged by seeing them out in those open fields in broad daylight and not too concerned about having them all bail off into that thick river cover.
Looks like a new scrape right here. Yeah, I'm gonna set up and rattle. Another doe, of course. Now she's cutting across the field. There's gotta be a buck moving them out of there. Come on, be a buck. Gotta have a buck show up someplace here with all this action. Look at them all. I think we've probably lost any chance we had for the really big buck. Still, the couple that we've passed up the first day would be real nice about now. Never forget that old saying, don't pass up on the first day what you would shoot on the last day, but it's easy to say, it's a little more difficult to do when you're looking for a real Boone and Crockett buck. You've got to pass them up on the first day.
Ron Spomer's hunt is winding down to the final minutes.
Oh, that's about 2 bucks, 3 bucks. 10 minutes of shooting light left. Say that's about 250. I think I'll take him. Oh yeah.
Winchester's World of Whitetail is brought to you by Winchester Ammunition, the American legend. Ram Trucks, Guts, Glory, Ram. Dallas Safari Club, promoting conservation, education, and ethical hunting worldwide. Bushnell, the new laws of performance. And by Mossy Oak. It's not a passion, it's an obsession.
I eat a lot of whitetails in this stuff. I just love this stuff, man. It's tall, it's got holes and dips. It can be anywhere in here, right on the edge of the timber, right on the edge of the river. Whew. So easy to step on them.
Ron Spomer's quest for the giant buck the outfitter's seen has made him pass on everything else, until the last day is about to fade to black.
There's a few on that field. That's a big bodied animal. Oh, that's a buck. 2 bucks, 3 bucks. Oh, that's a bigger body. That's an old buck. Tall, but nice spread, not much mass. Oh, shoot, he didn't have much for a rack, but he's an old buck.
There were a couple of bucks out there, one good 5x5, but he was still young. So here was my chance to take a fully mature animal, not really great antlers, but that guy had maxed it out. So it's either take him home or let him breed, and then he's gonna push on that smaller antler genetic.
10 minutes of shooting light left. Another little buck. Not much of a buck, but at the last 10 minutes, and he's an old deer, I can at least take him out of the gene pool. Yep, I'll give him one more look. Lots of deer over there running around. What is on? He's bigger than any deer out there. I think I'll take him. Oh yeah. Say that's about 250, maybe 300. Oh yeah. Okay. Whew, that was a good solid won't down. He is definitely dead. All right, well, not the way we like them to end, but when you pass up the biggest one on the first day, at least we got a mature animal, big, heavy-bodied.
And it's always satisfying to take a really old, fully mature animal because he's been around, he knows how to stay out of trouble. If you can get the drop on him, I think you've had a heck of a trophy hunt.
Whoa, whoa, he's huge. He is, my gosh, that's a big buck. Look at the neck on that guy. See, that is an example of a fully mature deer that's probably never going to grow big antlers. That's just not in his genetics. And too many people think genetics is everything, but that's just one part of the program. If you've got good nutrition, and you've got a fully mature deer, he's grown his body, he's grown his skeletal structure, he can then put his food into antlers. And since this guy's not doing it, there's your genetic connection. He just doesn't have the genes to grow big antlers.
Having given up that big, big young buck the first night, I was kicking myself. But if you've got a principle, it's probably a good idea to stick to it. And my principle is generally to try to take mature animals, 4 years old and older.
Look at the face of that guy. I've seen this guy bow hunting before. I bet that deer's 6.5 years old. I saw him earlier.
You think he's that old?
Look at the belly.
Sure.
Look how big
Oh,
that
he's
belly
massive.
is.
Yeah.
Look at
I
that.
just know he's more
Look
than
at
4.
that straight neck.
I mean, that's a buck that you need to take out.
Oh, absolutely. And you know what? And there's an 8-point, and we need to kill more of the 8 points.
Yeah,
Just to get the 10-point genetics in
Yep.
here.
You want to have a trophy hunt. The quality of the experience overall is what you'll remember into your old age. The size of the antlers, yeah, that's great. And we're always talking trophy antlers. But when it comes right down to it, day in and day out, year after year, the trophy hunt is what we remember, and that's what we strive for. Do it right, stand on your principles, make it a hunt. No, this is going to be a great buck. He'll eat really well.
You look at that. Look at the character. Look at that face. How he's just old and
He was
gray.
probably a 4x4 all his life.
Good-looking deer.
For me, South Dakota is definitely old home week. My home state has always been a great hunting state, but nowadays it's a better whitetail state than ever before. The harvest is better controlled. You've got big ranches that limit the number of hunters, so the hunting quality is improved, and they've got some old age bucks like I never saw back in the 70s. South Dakota hunting is definitely a big part of Winchester's world of whitetail.
Amazing how they can disappear when they're lying down.
Where, oh, where can my little buck be? Gee, I could see him from back where I shot him, and now I can't. Oh my gosh, he's run away. There he is. A little further than I thought he was. Look at, there's another one still out here.